Hello, this is Hugh Cornwell, and you're listening to Mystery Tour Radio Show.
So, dear Hugh, all the fun of the fair, what shall old and new fans expect from this live experience?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's this name is supposed to suggest that in the record there is something for everybody in the family, rather like a circus, and so we have some new songs of mine from Moments of Madness, and then we've got some other songs from my older solo records, and then across all the sides there is Stranglers. There are Stranglers classics.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something for a little bit for the old fans. They've got some of the Stranglers songs to listen to, and for some people who like the new Moments of Madness, there's some of those in there. So it's a collection of a selection of songs from to try and give something from every part of my career.
Yeah, and you will be doing an Irish and English tour soon. Shall we expect a European one too in the future?
Well, yeah. I'm just getting some details of some shows in Europe, which will happen next spring, spring 25, April, I think in April of 2025 next year, and I know your show. This is not just in Italy, but I think there's going to be a few shows in Italy possible. So it's going to be a long time since I played there.
Yeah, definitely, like 11 years.
Oh. So that must have been around the time of Totem and Taboo album.
Yeah, and is there something going on in terms of studio recordings?
I'm about to later this year. I'm going to start a recording for my next album for the studio record, and I can't wait because Moments of Madness has got such good reviews. The last thing I did in the lockdown, and I'm always educating myself, trying to get better and learning about making records. And I learned so much from making Moments of Madness, and because the feedback was so good, I know that the things that I learned from making that, I know exactly where I'm going to go next. So I'm looking forward to committing those ideas into songs and ideas.
Mr. Deil FM.
Oh yeah. I hope you. I'm glad you're mentioning that because it's something very. I'm very excited about Mr. Deil FM. I don't like to think about music all the time, and so as a means of escape from music, I go into the film world, and Mr. Deil FM is like an escape for me.
Yeah, and personal thanks from myself because you dedicated a couple episodes, one to our beloved Ugo Tognazzi.
Oh yeah, recently, that's right.
And a couple of episodes dedicated to poliziottesco movies.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Italian cinema. It's the Italian film industry has been blessed with many geniuses, both directing and also acting. As my description of Ugo Tognazzi's career makes clear, he was an absolute comic genius.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, with this whole politically correctness stuff, maybe it will be difficult for him to be an actor.
It couldn't happen again. It's the time for that is unfortunately gone now. So yeah. But there was a certain when before political correctness, there was a certain freshness
Yeah.
Which is very difficult to recreate when you have to be worried about anything you say.
Yeah.
It's I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's just very different, and it's very difficult to be fresh in that situation.
Yeah, we must go back to what Lenny Bruce taught us.
Yeah, let's hope so. Maybe political correctness will pass because the population of the world will realize that in the situation of political correctness, there is very little free thought.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that's lacking is the inability of people to feel they are free enough to think independently.
Can you disclose any of your other extra musical projects going on at the moment? I mean, like a follow-up to Future Tense, any movies?
Well, there's a lot of things I'm involved in that I don't talk about because it's too premature.
Yeah.
Before the things are definitely going to happen, um, you can become a victim of shooting down your balloons before they have gone up in the sky.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that, but I am going to be taking part at the end of October in a very interesting thing that's happening in Manchester, in England. It's an exhibition about Ray Harryhausen, the man who created the stop frame animation in the cinema. And anyone who doesn't know Harryhausen should really try and find out about him. He was a very inspiring person who a lot of people like George Lucas has said. George Lucas, the Star Wars man, said that creator of Star Wars has said, without Ray Harryhausen, I would not have entered the film industry.
Yeah.
So, and he's not the only one. Across the world, people, great figures of cinema, have said that Ray Harryhausen was a big inspiration for them and influence. And so, in Manchester in October, they're going to have an exhibition of Ray Harryhausen's work in an art center called Sale Art Center, and it's a big exhibition of models that he used when he was making his animation, and a lot of it has never been seen before. So this begins the beginning of at the end of October, and I've been invited to take part in an evening.
Oh.
I'm gonna be there, and we're gonna have a discussion with an audience, a Q&A, a question and answer about how I feel about animation in the cinema, and I'm going to be showing a couple of animation films that I've made that have never been seen before in public. So it's quite an interesting thing for me to get involved in. I was very pleased. I was very happy when I was invited. 24th of October. So it's before my touring starts for all the fun of the fair. And just I'd like to point out that although this new All the Fun of the Fair double live album is going to be out in the next few weeks, and then the tour that I'm doing in Ireland and the UK and then Europe next spring are in support of this release, I'm not going to be playing exactly what's on the record.
Okay.
A lot of the Strangler songs will be different because there are so many Strangler songs that we can play. So all the Strangler songs on the that we're going to play, a lot of them are going to be different from what's on the record. It's just that it would be too easy just to go out and just go on stage and play exactly what that record is.
Yeah.
You know, Well, people say, why not? That's what they're buying. But I mean, yeah, but you have to think that myself and Windsor and Pat, we are human beings and we're not machines.
Yeah.
And we would like to make it a bit more interesting for us because we played it when it was recorded. So we want to make it a bit more interesting. So with that in mind, it's going to be slightly different. The evening's entertainment is going to be slightly different from the record.
Yeah, and talking about music, is there any band, musical project you like and you're listening to at the moment?
Well, unfortunately, Michelle, I never listen to stuff that I'm not involved in. I wouldn't know where to start, but I can tell you that Prairie Prince from the Tubes has just finished a solo album, and I contributed to that, which was fun, and that's going to be that will be released. I don't know, hopefully soon.
Well, can you share a personal memory of Dave and Jet? How do you like to remember them?
I always had a soft spot for Dave. He was such a kind and generous man, and he would share anything with you. You know, he would share his music and very generous with his music, and that's how come Golden Brown came to be written, because he was generous with what he created with his fingers, and so I've got fond memories of him. He was not punk at all. He was just a very gifted musician who loved playing the classic image of a trained musician. I'm not sure if I think he was probably classically trained when he was a child, and that comes through, you know, with the way he played and the way he approached his music. I don't have any unpleasant memories of Dave. He came to see me when I played solo after I'd left the band once, and we had a very nice time together when he came. And he didn't get involved. He didn't like politics. He didn't like getting involved in any politics, and I mean the word politics in every aspect of its meaning.
Also musical,
yeah. And he just lived for music, and what more can I say? You know, and Jet was very similar to myself because our birthdays were only 2 days apart.
Oh.
We were a different number of years, but he was on the 26th of August and I'm 28th of August. So we always saw eye to eye, the expression is. We understood each other completely. And that's why I was so taken towards him and him to me when we first met. You know, when Johnny Socks came over from Sweden, and then the drummer left, Mike. He went back to America to be with his wife and child because he was a draft dodger in Sweden where I met him. And so Johnny Socks came to England. Mike left to go back to Chicago to be with his family. And we needed a drummer. So I put an ad in the paper, and Jet was one of the people that answered the ad. So as soon as I met Jet, I could see that we had a similar idea, you know, for what we wanted to do, and so I was drawn to him, and then the other two members of Johnny Socks left, and the Stranglers expanded, you know, with John joining on bass, who I recruited to play bass.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't aware of this, but before Dave joined, the fourth member of the Stranglers was Hans Vermling, a guy that played guitar, piano, saxophone, wrote a lot of music, and he was in my band in Sweden before the Stranglers started. So the first lineup of the Stranglers was myself, John, Jet, and Hans.
Okay.
And Hans wrote "Strange Little Girl" with me. You know, when he came over from Sweden on the first day he arrived, we wrote "Strange Little Girl" in 10 minutes, and and uh, and then Hans got disillusioned with our progress. You know, after nearly a year of playing, he was impatient for success, and left, and that's when that provided the opening for Dave to join as a full keyboard player, not a second guitarist, which made a big change to the way we sounded. So I mean, Jet was any suggestions or ideas that I had for the band, including let's bring in Hans on guitar. Jet was immediately saying yes, yes. He was positive because we were so similar that we agreed with each other nearly all the time
Yeah.
about most things. So I had a special relationship with Jet, you know, which of course came to an end when I left the band because their dogmatism about me leaving meant that I lost three friends, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Which final like message and greeting would you send out to the Italian fans?
Oh, well, I mean, I have Italy is very close to my heart. You know, I love Italian food. I love Italian cinema. I love Italian women. I mean, what more can I love? You know, uh, unfortunately, it doesn't have a warm winter. Otherwise, I'd be living there as well. You
Yeah.
know, because I love the warm weather. So I know in the winter the weather isn't very nice, and I like the heat. So. So lucky for you that Italy isn't warm in the winter. Otherwise, you'd have me all the time because I'd move there. I have a brother that lives in Italy.
Oh.
He's just moved there. Yeah, he's down on the coast near the border with France.
Okay.
That north coast near between Genoa and Nice. He's in that first bit of Italy there. Um, yeah, but I haven't been to visit him there yet. But I will be going. So I mean, my message to Italian fans, well, my first message is I didn't realize I had many Italian fans. I know that you are,
Of course.
and your boys, the mugshots, but
Yeah.
I don't have much knowledge of fans in Italy really for my music. I know there are Stranglers fans, but I don't know if there are fans of what Hugh Cornwell does in Italy. But hey, if I'm gonna be coming to play for three shows next spring, then I'm gonna find out, I guess,
Yeah.
if I have Italian fans. Yeah, Italy is a fabulous place, you know, and a lot of uh, very very influential culture, you know, has come from Italy. Not just in ancient times. You know, recently especially the film industry and in the literature, in comedy, in you know, that it's got a wealth of rich qualities which the world loves, you know, and you know that because it's one of the favorite destinations of people who live outside Europe. That they want to go. I was just on a plane back from America, and the two ladies I sat waiting to get on the plane, and before we got on the plane, they were American from San Francisco, and they were coming straight to Venice and then Florence and Rome. You know that
Yeah.
they weren't going to the UK. I said, "Are you coming to the UK?" I said, "Only to change planes." So you know, it's a you know, you're very lucky. You've got a great country there, and look after it. You know, and I hope to see you there next spring.